Talking to Junko Taniguchi from UNESCO in Iran. And Junko is telling me about the Silk Road and how she's enjoying it. So tell me, how's it going?
Well, this Silk Road's Mayors Forum, taking place for the fifth time in Shiraz, in the Islamic Republic of Iran, is really very momentous and timely, considering that 2010 is the year designated by the United Nations as the year for the rapprochement of cultures. That is, of course, the meeting and coming together and inter-exchanging between different cultures, countries, societies, communities, and people. So it's wonderful in this year, at this time, that many Silk Road mayors and municipal authorities and experts from around the world have joined to meet and exchange information with the Iranian people and the municipal authorities and tourism experts and cultural heritage experts to, first of all, network and to strengthen understanding between each other, and to also try to establish cooperation activities for the future for cultural heritage and cultural heritage tourism.
And this is right, the real centre of culture in Iran, isn't it? I mean, Shiraz has got an enormous history with Persepolis there. You must be really pleased to be here.
Yes, well, as you may know, Shiraz is very close to two UNESCO World Heritage properties. One is Persepolis, or as the Iranians would call it, Takht-e Jamshid. And then there's also the Tomb of Cyrus, or as the Iranians call it, Pasagarde. They are very close to Shiraz, just a bus ride away, and I believe that you'll all be visiting in 2 days' time. And aside from that, Shiraz is also a very historic city where there are two important shrines of two of the most important poets and philosophers in Persian civilization. And the shrine of the tomb of Hafez is one of the most romantic places, actually, in the Islamic Republic of Iran. All Iranians visit, especially during the evening, with a book of a collection of Hafez poetry to the tomb, and they put their hand on the tomb of Hafez and they make a wish, and they then randomly open the collection of his poetry and read the poem that comes out, and then they interpret. And of course, Hafez's poems can be interpreted in very many ways, but in response to their inquiry, which they made silently to Hafez, spiritually connecting by touching his tomb, they receive his response through the poem. It's very romantic.
I mean, that's something that I've noticed being here in Iran, that it is a surprisingly romantic place, isn't it?
Well, maybe it's not so surprising for an Iranian. Many well-educated or literal Iranian people, they read poetry at least once a day, they tell me. And poetry and philosophy and reflection about life and spiritual identity, cultural identity, seems very much to be a part of their lives and their day-to-day lives. They have a very strong cultural identity, and of course the physical manifestations like the cultural heritage monuments and the cultural heritage activities and the tombs and the shrines and the crafts. All of these are very much directly related to the intangible cultural identity that the Iranian people have.
I noticed when I was walking today that everybody's in the park having a picnic. Families, businessmen, they're all sitting down with their stuff in front of them. I mean, it just gives it a really beautiful atmosphere, don't you think?
In Iran, many people like to picnic, and they go with their food and barbecue and have family outings in the open, in the parks, by the river, if there are rivers. In Shiraz also, I've asked the Iranian people since many years ago, and they've always told me that the Shirazi people have a joy. They have a love for going out during the day or in the summer when it's hot in the evening, to do more of this than any other city in Iran. So I think you see this more. And there's lots of flowers in Shiraz too, because there's several pavilions inside of beautiful gardens. So there's this whole ongoing interaction with flowers and poetry and philosophy and cultural heritage monuments. It's very dynamic, it's living, and it's very beautiful, and I think for any visitor that comes to Shiraz, they will not go without having had a very enriched experience.
And a tourism opportunity for anybody, really.
Yes, and Shiraz is actually one of the places in Iran where one can receive very good quality tourism. So this is one of the first places that I think a visitor to Iran might want to put as the number one place to visit, aside from Isfahan.
And obviously they'll have a really good experience.